Hi, it's Crystal. Today I'm talking about K-pop communities on different social media platforms. This is kind of the first of these type of videos that are thoughts videos where I'll kind of casually have an edit going on in the background and then I'll be talking over it, talking about some interesting topics, whatever's relevant, kind of like that. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about K-pop communities on different social media platforms online. So I know the Twitter, Reddit, and Tumblr communities the best, so those will be what I'm talking about today. But if you want to provide perspective on a different community like Pinterest, Wattpad, Archive of Our Own, Quora, Amino, any type of forum website or something else, please feel free to comment below and share those things. I think that'd be really cool. As always, we have an edit today. It's on the screen. You can look at it. It's pretty neat. I think I think this video has the intro Persona magazine edit in the background. Yeah, I think so. I think it's pretty cool. I think you guys will enjoy it. Yeah. Okay, let's get into it. Twitter, our favorite little thing. So basically, K-pop Twitter has a very low threshold to enter into it and also to join in on everything. You can do it really easily. Information is consolidated into fan bases, and large accounts post all types of official content and also fan content, and it's really appealing because it's also easy to access. It has this type of fandom mentality that stems from Tumblr and LiveJournal, clashing with new fandom mentalities being developed right now with stan culture. 10 years ago, you can use the word stan, right, because of that one Eminem song, but stan itself used universally to describe fandoms wasn't really a thing. It was more this is that fandom, or these are these type of fans, I feel like stan's a very new kind of fandom development, the usage of the word stan. Fandom terminology is really interesting. I don't know, we'll talk about that someday. But for now, Twitter, K-pop Twitter, that's what we're talking about. Twitter all comes together into this thing where I appreciate its existence, but I also think that its existence is incredibly troubling sometimes. Twitter is explosive, and I think that's more to design of the platform than anything else. I feel like other platforms are also designed the way Tumblr was designed. It would quickly spiral to be like Twitter. Not Tumblr. Sorry, I've been saying Tumblr. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. I meant Twitter. Okay, so Twitter, back to it. All right. So Twitter is explosive, and I think it's more to the design of the platform than anything else. Not the fault of the platform, Twitter is a social media platform that automatically updates the likes and retweets on tweets and has numbers heavily tied to people's accounts. So, due to numbers, those accounts can be sold and like that. And whether you think that's okay or not, kind of to you. There's a lot of sponsored content giveaways, and yeah, sometimes it's not good. You can watch the Baby Gang video on that if you want to. It's really well done. You probably should. It's really important. You probably should go watch that. Yeah, big recommend right there. Okay, so back to it. Twitter is designed to have things be immediate and reactionary, so the K-pop community on Twitter uses the website's designs to do good things, but also bad things. We should acknowledge both. But for now, let's talk about the good, So, hashtags can be used for good. They can promote K-pop comebacks and also can be fun for fandom events. Fandom events are good. They're fun, voluntary, they give the fandom something to do, and K-pop Twitter is very much event-based. Usually fandoms are creation-based, so fan art, fan fiction, fan video edits, or vines, or fan cams, or whatever we're calling them nowadays, just edits, when you put something in an editing program, and then you kind of go at it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. A video, yes, okay, we should just all revert back to calling it AMVs or PMVs, or, if we did K-pop MVs, it would just be KMVs, and reject modernity, embrace tradition, let's just go back to calling it KMVs, honestly, at this point, we just should. But, yeah, so just a side tangent there, but So usually in fandoms, people interact with each other over fan creations, and fan creations are the core of fandoms. But in K-pop fandoms, the core of their fandom is official content from their K-pop idol group. So the main interest in everyone, the main interest that everyone in the fandom shares, so for ARMY, that main interest is for BTS. For, Moo-Moos, it would be Mamamoo. For MOAs, it would be TXT. For ATEEZ, it would be ATEEZ. It's like the fandom's main interest is the idol group. And those things basically, and those things, not things, but the idol groups, they inspire creation. So instead of the fandom itself making stuff and then doing that stuff, the main interest itself inspires creation, and then within that, it kind of, there's a bigger idea there, but it's hard to explain sometimes. In K-pop Twitter, those things are still present, so fan creations are there, and there's also fan creation communities, so the fan art communities, and I know for ARMY it's called ArtMe. I'm not sure what it's called for other K-pop fandoms, but if you want to share that, that'd be pretty cool. There's also the GIF communities, and also people who make video edits and that, and yeah. But the core of K-pop fandoms are their events and interactions. That is the very core of Twitter K-pop. These events can be streaming, voting, hashtag trending, and other things like that. Just anything that's about numbers and kind of being visible and active. And stans also interact over tweets and ideas about their main interest, or their idol group, and instead of fan content. So there's reasons threads are so popular with how they compile official content to kind of be easily accessed, and also as a not prompting, but a talking point for people. So it's kind of like that. So even though threads have a creative aspect to them, they also have a meaning behind them that invites interaction and sharing ideas about the K-pop group. Okay, more good things about K-pop Twitter are its ability to boost really important conversations into the public sphere, because before someone is a K-pop stan, they're a person. And other good things, obviously, are Twitter being able to connect people of common interests, so people can connect over K-pop. People can find friends and a community to feel connected with, and that's some of the, really important things that we should try to not forget. And alright, on to some of the bad things about K-pop Twitter, because we should talk about those. I won't go into everything, because as we all know, the list is long, and we can sit here all day and be just negative, but let me hit some key points that we should probably discuss. K-pop Twitter is distinctly different from other types of Twitter fandoms online. So there's also Annie Twitter, I know, and other Twitter communities, but K-pop Twitter is distinctly different from them. So since Twitter allows immediate response to interactions and replies, this can make discourse and conversations amplify quickly, especially due to how organized K-pop fandoms are. And this can lead to many explosive and reactionary behaviors that go unchecked, with misinformation and herd mentality very quickly. So K-pop Twitter is much more entwined and feels really loud because things can be seen easily on the platform. People congregate quickly and easily, so everything on K-pop Twitter is fast-paced and constantly moving. It's sometimes overwhelming for a lot of people too, because just K-pop Twitter in general is a lot, Yeah, that's probably the best way to describe it. It's just a lot. It's a lot for everyone in general. I'll probably make a video more in depth about communities in the future, but for now, let's move on from Twitter. Let's do Reddit. So Reddit. I feel like K-pop Reddit is separated into two groups of people, and this is just kind of what I observe. If you see something differently, then please feel free to share. The first group is the original people who use primarily Reddit as their way to interact and get K-pop news. And the second group of people is people from Twitter trying to mold K-pop Reddit into their idea of a fandom space. So different social media websites attract different types of people and develop different cultures and understandings between the people. On Reddit, there's a thing called Reddit that's just kind of known by everyone who uses the platform. There is official posts about Reddit, but Reddit itself is kind of a learned experience thing you gain through using Reddit. In K-pop Reddit, I think mostly over last spring in 2020 changed due to an influx of people from Twitter coming to use the space. kind of pre-spring 2020, K-pop Reddit was smaller, and the main discussion subreddits were K-pop thoughts, unpopular K-pop opinions, and K-pop rants. They still are, but there's way more K-pop subreddits now. So individual groups and soloists had their own subreddits pre-2020, but multis and general K-pop conversations stayed on those subreddits that I named. So there's a lot of nuance behind these 3 subreddits and where to post certain conversations. K-pop thoughts is generally seen as more positive and lighthearted as a subreddit. More critical opinions and information goes onto K-pop rants. Meanwhile, unpopular K-pop opinions, also called UKO, is for unpopular opinions about K-pop and functions with a poll system. K-pop Reddit has an understanding between its users, and in the past year has experienced a large expansion. So there's a large group of people who don't understand a lot of the nuances of Reddit itself on K-pop Reddit using basically being in the K-pop community on Reddit, but they don't know anything about Reddit itself. It's kind of like that. In 2020, we saw more general K-pop subreddits for discussion created, like we have K-pop LGBTQ, we have K-pop Noir, we have the Peach Blossom Crew, and a couple others. There's this one, I think it's Ask Reddit K-pop too. We have a lot more now. It's interesting. And before 2020, I wasn't there I wasn't in the K-pop community before 2020, but from what I know, before 2020, usually the only new K-pop subreddits that would get created would be from newly debuted K-pop groups, so they would get, like, their own individual subreddits made, so that way people can, like, talk about their group there. So even though we're on Reddit, many of the people who interact within the Reddit K-pop community are not native Reddit users. So just all those expectations and things you think about Reddit users, just like put them away when thinking about K-pop Reddit. K-pop Reddit is basically K-pop Twitter, but more controlled because of moderators and capable of having longer discussions. Conversations are also more contained, especially because the moderators on the K-pop subreddits only allow a certain number of posts about a topic. There's good reasons why they do that too, and these are more universally known with, like, Reddit, as I was talking about earlier, and also the need to not flood subreddits with posts about the same topic, and also ensuring people can see all opinions on a topic easily, because Reddit is a forum-based type of thing, and you don't want conversations to get flooded or really spread out, or it's hard to find information. Personally, I think K-pop Reddit is less loud than K-pop Twitter, even as the subreddits have begun to grow more. It's not as wild as Twitter, and is capable of keeping itself together. And yeah, I think Reddit in some ways is superior to Twitter, but also Twitter is superior to Reddit. There's both good and bad with the communities, and also the platforms themselves and how that helps people mobilize for things for their idol groups. So yeah. Now let's move on from talking about those two, and let's go on to Tumblr now. So Tumblr is older than all these K-pop communities when it comes to age. Like, the K-pop Reddit we see today was not developed really till like late 2019, early 2020, and then the K-pop Twitter we see today wasn't really developed till like, you know, like that 2016, 2017 era where it started to really pick up. K-pop Twitter's older than all these people, even though K-pop Tumblr is older. K-pop Twitter is old in a sense where it has all those things, but fandom itself did not transfer over to Twitter till like 2017 time. But that's like a whole other conversation about like fandom history. Oh my god, so many other conversations. I know, it's crazy. So many conversations. But yeah, let's refocus. Okay. So the K-pop Tumblr community does not have much activity or centralized depth of conversation, but it does have age and creativity to make up for it. So K-pop Tumblr, unlike other K-pop communities, is further contained into these things called networks. So of course people can exist outside of networks and still be a part of the community, but for the larger part of things, networks are the bloodline of K-pop Tumblr. On Tumblr, you cannot directly interact and exist in the community without being a creator of some sort. Your participation in these networks allows you to use the network's tag. This network's main blog then reblogs your work so it reaches more people. It's basically about visibility, but also community. People connect with each other if they're in similar networks. Other than that, it is extremely difficult to get to know people unless you're just commenting on everything and also direct messaging people to make friends. That's like a lot of effort, though. I wouldn't recommend. Back to my point, you need to be a creator to join these networks. So this makes Tumblr the highest concentration of K-pop creators, so people who are graphics artists, fanfiction writers, fan artists, and GIF makers. You literally cannot exist within the K-pop Tumblr community if you do not make content. The idea of a mutual does not really exist on Tumblr unless you follow people for content. Also, I mean, original content, like where you actually are making your own work and like that, and that's not like reposts or pictures or videos of idols. So you can't just reblog work and expect people to follow you and get to know you. You need to like actually make things. Tumblr is one of the only K-pop communities where there's an actual entrance hurdle, other than learning about it and integrating yourself into the community. And I know Instagram has networks too, or they're not called networks, I think they're just called groups. But Tumblrs are extensive and they make up a large part of the community. It's almost like you don't exist in the community unless you're in networks. Pretty crazy. And there's something so unique to K-pop Tumblr that I don't think can be replicated anywhere else really with networks. And just like how there's such a big focus on being creative. And yeah, that's my thoughts on online K-pop communities, and that's pretty much it. I think they're all unique and different, and you just gotta kind of find what works for you and what makes it, like, you need to go out and search for the experience that you want with K-pop. And whatever you find and whatever works, I hope you have the best of luck in your online experience with K-pop. And I hope you find something interesting in this video. And if you're in need of any answers to any questions, feel free to comment on this video or just like say something random like Apple. I don't care. Or message me on social media. And other than that, take care of yourself. And as always, please remember to stay thoughtful.